everybody, welcome back to another video, this time with the J37, the JA. The last review I made was the Viggen, and I've said its designation like 4 times now, so I'm going to slowly welcome back to the J35XS. Sitting at the same battle rating as the J35D at 10.7, this thing faces a fairly good matchmaker, getting very consistent down tiers. And when you do get up tiers, it's usually only to 11.3 right now. It's a direct upgrade as it gets 2 more AIM-9Js, and you get 6 pops of flares, or 3 if you take chaff, I guess, but that doesn't really seem worth it in my opinion. But you gotta pay $70 for it, so if $70 doesn't mean much to you, then I would recommend to pick this up if you're trying to grind out Sweden. However, $70 is quite a bit for a single plane. I don't think, if I wasn't getting this for free from Gaijin, that I personally would pick this up. It should have been in the tech tree, but we just have to suffer. Just like these A-10s that I'm going to let suffer by orbital striking them with AIM-9Js, as they're so slow that it drastically extends the range of the missile. And boy, do I have a lot of pent-up rage against A-10s. It made an entire BR bracket unplayable, and I have no remorse for sniping these things down en masse. Same goes for F5Cs. A lot of the time, you can catch them off guard by coming from a top-down angle, as a fair bunch of these players are relatively new to the game, and thus aren't accustomed to the owl on crack level of looking around you need to do at high tiers. And with the upgraded 6 missiles that the J35XS has access to, I can just kinda sit behind them and spam these off until they die. Plus, with all these full down tiers that 10-7 is getting, I guess I got hit by a 30 mil. It only damaged a single panel that you couldn't even feel in the flight model. But you face a lot of planes that don't have flares, and despite not being the greatest missile ever, the AIM-9J is right on that threshold where it's pretty hard to outmaneuver it at 20 Gs, which is the only defense that flareless planes have. Something that surprised me is that the Draken is actually relatively tanky. As long as your wingtips don't come off, this thing will just eat damage because it has so much lift it can get back to base anyway. Maybe not in the Su-25 sense where you're just soaking up hits over and over again, but like the one missile that I just took there, shook it off completely fine, got back to base. Unfortunately, my entire team collapsed while I was repairing, and this leaves me to hunt down 3 A-10s and an F-104C who will bleed me dry of tickets if I don't kill them in time. I lock up an A-10, and somebody in chat asks where this bastard is, and little do they know, I have 4-kilometer AIM-9Js out on 2 of the A-10s already. The third one's head on to me, but he doesn't notice me, so this gives me ample time to loop over the top and line up my AIM-9J, as I don't want to waste any gun ammo if I don't have to, as you only have the one far-mounted right gun that's relatively hard to aim. Because I'm a sound whore, I hear the F-104C rolling up behind me, and all it takes is literally any level of maneuvering for this guy to overshoot me. And I can always point my nose at him because, I mean, I'm a Draken. Now, I don't know if the Draken's flight model changed at all since last time I played it, but it seems to pull a little bit less AOA than I remember. I don't know though, it's been like over a year since I've legitimately played the J35D Draken, because it's been power crept out of the meta so hard that it was like unplayably bad. This is okay though. At high speeds, the Draken compresses a little bit, letting you retain your energy, which is something that Deltas don't normally do. I'm in a 2v2 team fight against 2 F5Cs with another teammate in the J35XS. In a fight like this, I actually want to ignore the person trying to solo me out as much as I can without dying. Because if I can turn my teammates' fight into a 2v1, it'll stack things up a lot better for us, then we can focus down the second F5C. I try and lock my guy up with a missile, but I actually wasn't able to get him until like 1.5 kilometers. The F5C's engines are just so dang cold that missiles have a hard time tracking them, which sucks because it means I can't engage the other guy sooner. I flip around and a herd of F-104s Yeah, that was really fun to listen to, wasn't it? I lock up the F5C that's climbing, but he's able to easily flare it away. Fortunately though, this puts him relatively slow above me, and I try and get a gunshot in. I just barely missed though, as the gun was not aimed where I needed it to be, but fortunately he gave me his 6 for free, giving me chance to catch up and line up my guns for a shot. However, my teammate decided to leave, and because the Draken's super maneuverable at low speeds, I put myself in a super stall. One of the nice things about the Draken is that it has some pretty good engine power. You may think it was a dogfighter because of the double delta design, giving it super maneuverability, but actually, it was an Interceptor, and because of this, it has a pretty good thrust-to-weight ratio, which lets you dash away from people like this Harrier and this MiG-21S that I wasn't particularly keen on taking the 1v2 fight with. I just extend back to my team, and once they start coming in, this gives me ample time to just whip back around, and both of these people don't have flares. The nice thing about the Draken is that because you have exceptional nose authority, when people are bunched up like this, you can just kind of point at them, launch your missiles, and it's a really easy way to get multi-kills. This is probably the most consistent multi-kill aircraft I've ever played. With the extra pylons of the J35XS as well, it lets you kind of ace combat people, if you know what I'm talking about. You have so many missiles that you just get to fling them at whoever you want, whenever you want. Like this SPSK here, which I'm gonna whip my nose around as hard as I can, so that I can point my missile seeker at him, and even though we're in the clouds, it should be sensitive enough to pick up an afterburner 2 kilometers away. Now, because this only has 6 flare drops, I kind of play it as if it doesn't have flares in the first place, and it's just kind of a nice backup to fall off on if you do end up getting a missile launched at you. Most of the time, assuming I'm not in a full up tier, I'll usually climb, which gives me the opportunity to look down at these people and shoot at them. I get an angle to shoot my last AIM-9J off, and yeah, I put myself into another super stall. Sweden mains, please don't rip me apart for my skill issue. It's been so long since I've played one of these things. The Draken's probably one of the few planes that I actually recommend 180ing for people. You can get around fast enough that they're not going to be completely out of range of your AIM-9J. Like this F4J, for instance, who's shooting missiles at my teammates, and then, whoop, he doesn't even see it coming. Who knows if he even has the flare key bound. Regardless, that's a pulse Doppler monster off the table. I don't want to be fighting AIM-7Fs. Now here's a lesson in situational awareness. These missiles don't have many other targets they could be going for, and they seem to be guiding like a radar missile, so I stick close to the deck, and it just flies right past me. You don't need an RWR to know when a radar missile is launched at you. It just helps a little bit. But as long as you're aware, you can pretty easily get away with not having one. Speaking of being aware, this teammate's rapidly closing on this F5C, and because I, actually pay attention, wow, I actually hit a shot with the gun for once. I didn't fire my missile because there was like a 100% chance that it was going to track my teammate instead. I let this F5C fly by as I know there's more enemies over there hunting down one of my teammates, and I'd rather go help him out and have potential for more kills than go for the person who's right next to me. My priority is the F8E as it has really good energy retention and it may be a little hard to do an extended dogfight with him. I launch on the F5C as none of them ever pay attention. I launch on the F8E and he flares, and I launch on the SMT, who also ends up not paying attention, though the missile went straight through the wreckage smoke of the F5C, so I don't blame him if he didn't see it. I 180 for this F8E again because I really need him dead, but with my team in the area, it'll be a lot easier if I have to take any sort of fight. Unfortunately, he flared my last missile, so I'll actually have to use my skill and get a gunshot. Then an F-14 rolls up behind him. Yeah, that's rest in peace. Good night, F-80. I roll up behind this Su-25 after all of this, and a little bit of ground pounding, and I only have 28 cannon rounds left. I'm gonna try and preserve my ammo to hit this Su-25 when I know I have a really good shot. I just have to, make sure I can actually aim my stealth rounds. I'm not shooting yet, as I'd like to be a little bit closer, maybe around 0.4 kilometers. He goes straight vertical, and this is my chance. That's all for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. And by the time this video goes live, I'll likely already be at 5,000 subscribers, which, oh man, I didn't think I would get this big this fast. So I just want to thank everyone for all the support you've shown me, and let me know what I should do for 5,000 subscribers, because I have no clue. Also, I say this a million times, but there's the Discord server. If you want to be part of a growing community of active War Thunder players, make sure to join that. Otherwise, that's all for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.